now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversations open doors. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Every thought becomes so clear. Fancy tunes and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversation.
Hey guys, good morning. Listen, it's Saturday. I'm excited. I have to tell you, I was late to the game. I'll be honest, I didn't post this till yesterday. So if you could do me a favor real quick, if you're listening, go ahead and tell your friends we're live because I think everybody's going to benefit from this chat today. Preparation is something that's kind of funny to start a show and saying I wasn't prepared early enough for this. And so I'm going to own it, guys. Not everybody is always prepared, including coaches. Now, let's be serious. We always prioritize preparedness, right? There are different things that rise throughout the day that can change direction of what is vital and what isn't. And so we're going to talk about that. But that's kind of what happened this week. For those of you who have been at the show, you guys know who I am. Let me do a quick intro for those who don't. I am Melissa Houston, cultivator of dreams, motivator of human capital. What that really means is I help people like you figure out what they want to be when they grow up, and then we get a plan together. We prepare for that life, right? For that journey. We plot the steps to get it done. And that can happen in business, in personal life. I was a business consultant, helping businesses grow. My entire career was based on my ability to sell and optimize processes, right? So I moved quickly within organizations to be one of the top performers. And that skill set has always been with me. I always wanted to be grandma's favorite. I came from a huge family. And so being the most prepared, being the most filled with common sense is a term my grandma would say. It took me far, right? And so I used those skills that were naturally built in over time in that family, trying to be the favorite and trying to be the teacher's pet. And then again, my boss's favorite. I want my gold star from everybody. Those skills were harnessed. It was about being prepared to be able to execute whatever it was that they asked me to do. And so I'm here to teach you guys that. If you want to learn more about how I do that, it's at documentthenap.com. You can see it right here on your screen, but that's me. Okay, so guys, this week, getting back to what I do. For those of you who don't know, I run a retail environment. It's a store here in Bellingham, Washington, which I love. I gotta be honest, it is full of passion and fun for me. I get to feel like I'm 25 again, dancing, singing, playing around to loud music, comparable to the feel of like a Journeys, right? When you walk into the mall and you just know you walked into the coolest store because you could hear the music from a few doors away. That's the vibe I get to work in. It's fun for me. And it was a great rest period after some waves, some roller coaster in life. My mom had passed away, a long-standing client of 8 years. Passed away. The business had to close and it changed and things evolved and life just kept happening. And I said, let me go take a rest. And it's a joke to say rest if you know Melissa Houston, but let me go slow down. Go hang out in a local community environment, get to know the town that I just moved to not too long ago, but never really anchored into. There was a few friends in town I had, but never got to know them, right? And so that gave me the platform to rest, but play, to redefine what it meant to be me. Like I go through the same phases of having to rediscover who I want to be when I grow up. Things change. For a decade or so, I was in background screens. Prior to that, I was a certified staffing professional running a recruiting firm in a town. It was the second location of this staffing agency. And I was the guy, the girl, the lady who would run the whole thing on that side of town. And we did really well. But I have evolved away from both of those things. And now I am running a very fun niche retail store in town that sells motorcycle equipment. And so I'm still doing safety, compliance, and security, but in a new way. And I get to dance and sing and play like I'm 20. I also have time before this store opens to do things like this, right? And so for me, part of being prepared is knowing my schedule. And that's why I love what I do. Is it is retail, but it's not traditional retail. I'm not up as early as some of those people who work large retail stores, right? It's not a 24/7 job. It's beautiful in that way. The people that come in are so different. Every day feels new. It's just like coaching. It's a different mindset. It's a different need. It's a different goal. Everybody wants to ride their own way. And I think that's the theme of life, right? I teach that and have since 2015. Do it your way. And that mindset coming into the store, it helps, right? Ride your own ride, wear what you want to wear. You could be in a chicken suit as long as it's got the protection inside you need to be safe, right? And so that's kind of the mindset I'm bringing to the table today. When I talk to you about preparedness, I'm talking about a lifetime of experience that has come to pass over time, right? Like just day after day, moment after moment, experience after experience to get me to where I am. And really the tools that I use are simple. I'm very much a coach who likes to keep it elementary education based. I think it's simple. When I was in sales, and I'm still in sales, but in sales, they tell you to speak to the 5-year-old and the 75-year-old in the room. And so if you can keep it simple enough for your child and your grandparent to understand it, it really can spread to everybody in the room, right? The hope is if you can capture those two, everybody in between should understand as well. And so when I coach, one of the things I love to do is go back to the who, what, where, when, whys. Hows, the basics, the assessment. And so when I talk about being prepared, the first thing I want to do is like ask the what. What does being prepared mean to you? Because it varies, I think, right? I think there's a different level of preparation required for the task at hand, depending on what you're facing. There are people who can walk into a room with just themselves, right? They have air in their lungs. They might have hydrated. They're not hungry. They're just them, and they are all they need. I think of Jason Bourne, right? It doesn't matter what you send him into. It doesn't matter what tools he has on his person. He will figure it out as he goes, and he's always prepared for that thing, right? So that's the kind of mindset I want to have. I always wanted to do military. I didn't end up going that way. Long story short, I was pregnant when it was time to go, and oops. So didn't get to go, but that mindset carried with me, right? And I do have to bring that to the table, because for me, no matter where you send me, I'll figure it out. What does that mean for you, though? Like, are you prepared by being fed, fueled, rested? Are you prepared for whatever comes, because your body brings this energy all of a sudden, right? I think about the teenagers. They're not prepared to stay up for 2 days in a row, but if you get them all in a room, they can rise to that occasion. So define prepared for yourself, right? Where does that feeling of being prepared come from? Why does it matter? Who do we rely on to get that feeling sustained inside? Is there anybody who makes Jason Bourne Jason Bourne? Does he have a team at home? I think of James Bond, and thanks to my friend Omar, I know who Q is. I never really was a James Bond fan, but in theory, I love James Bond, right? Again, as good as the tools in his hands. The same with maybe Batman. As good as the tools in his hand. And so what takes an ordinary human and makes them prepared? When do we activate that preparedness? Is it something that sits within us, or do we have to pull it out of our pocket and dig for that like coupon? And how do you activate it? So simple stuff, right? Simple, but really, if you've ever coached with me, if you've ever walked through the simple stuff with me, you know, it's like picking a scab. They're so simple that you accidentally dive in deeper than you meant to, which is a beautiful thing, guys. I got to be honest. It is beautiful, but it is not as simple as it looks on the screen. It isn't. Because when you really dive into what may hold you back from being prepared, sometimes it's the who's, the what's, the where's, the when's, the why's, and how you never recovered, right? If you can't overcome some of your trauma, like PTSD is an example of where the body is just reacting sometimes. Flight, fight, freeze. Sometimes being prepared is just knowing how to sit still when it comes, right? Sometimes it's, oh my gosh, let's move. We have to move right now to get out of the way of the thing. Have you ever said, you know what? I know this looks bad, but we're just going to wait and see. We're going to wait and see what happens and just hang out a minute, right? Just take a deep breath. And I'll be honest, guys, some people, when they wait and see, feel better. They're going to just let it go. Let God, let faith, let the world, let whoever, right? Just, let them be messy, right? Let them do it. You've heard it where the kids, you said, don't do it, Billy, don't do it, Billy. Hey, Billy, don't do it. It's going to be an owie. And then you're like, oh, Billy's going to do it. And Dad goes, let him do it. Let him learn, right? And so some of us feel like that wait and see is, oh no, I know there's a crash coming and I don't want to wait. And others are like, hey, I'm peacefully sitting by this wave coming at me and I'll just wait and see if I get washed away. So be mindful on how long you wait and see, right? Because I'll be honest, if you're looking at the screen and you're still like, okay, well, I wonder what's going to happen. For me, this is too late. I'm already too late. I need to be running. There is no wait and see. I need to run, right? But it's different for everybody. And it's perspective, and that matters too. And so first thing is figuring out what prepared means for you, figuring out mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, what your boundaries are, what those moments of reckoning of, oops, my gut, my God, my whatever, insert here for you, is telling me to move, right? There is a difference between assessing and taking action. And I think you must do both. I've taught that a long time. You must do both. But how long do you wait? How long do you wait and see and assess before you move, right? So again, I ask you, are you prepared? And I got to tell you guys, again, elementary education concepts, it looks like fun. But let's talk about some of the things that could be moments of wait and see, right? The image I just gave you. Let's talk about emergency disasters. We have seen them in the world, right? In the United States where I live, we see them often. We know there's a hurricane season. We know there's a tornado season. We know there are blizzards where there's going to be whiteouts in some states. There are going to be power outages in others. We're going to have ice and shutdown of traffic, and we're not going to be able to go shopping maybe, right? We've all seen everybody go run for the bread aisle. So it's not that I'm saying, oh my gosh, it's always going to come, but we know it comes every year for somebody, right? Every day there's somebody, something, every moment of my life, every day I need to be prepared for what's next, whether it's the interruption from the kiddos, the news dropping, something flashing across my screen, the issue with an employee, a customer, a client, a family member, a friend, right? How do you navigate these things? And so the first steps is assess you. I always start with me. I can't pour from an empty cup, right? We've talked about my mom being a waitress in the past. For those of you who don't know, I used to sit in the corner of the restaurant and watch her work on nights she couldn't get a sitter. And I would watch her fill her pitcher of water and then go fill the table. And then she had to go refill it and back and back. And it just makes sense, right? Same thing with the coach. I can't pour into you unless I pour into me first. When I'm not bubbly, you feel it. When I'm tired, I know it. I've skipped weeks of being a coach for free on the internet because I just didn't have it to pour out. And that's okay. Do you know what those things look like? Because being prepared means rested, right? Nobody should go to war or go into chaos or go into a hurricane already lacking days of sleep. So, how are you taking care of yourself? I did this week. I've been busy. Like I was saying, I run the retail store. We had inventory. That's a big day for anybody in retail. It was nice. It went much smoother than last year. We improved by 50%. The numbers were off the charts better, and I was so proud, right? But it was exhausting. The next day, my body was like, what are you doing? You already worked pretty long days. Why did you add all those extra hours to it? And I hadn't been eating well, guys. To be honest, we were shoving pizza in our face the day before inventory, trying to get prepped. You know, if you've ever worked inventory prep, you know, right? It's the last moment to make sure all the stickers are perfect. Everything's right. And so I'm just shoving junk into my face because it's fast, it's easy, it's down the way. And the next day I could feel it. And then I was pushing myself, right? I have to get it done. We got to get it done. Everybody understands. You push yourself at work till you clock out. To some degree, right? And this was crunch time. It was go time. So we did it, but I felt it for a day and a half and I rested. And that's why I hadn't posted yet. I went back to work and I felt great, refreshed. The night before work, knowing I had been sluggish, I made this beautiful salad and I could see the difference in my skin even the next day. Like it was almost immediate. I felt great. Then I worked on hydration and here we are, right? After I got hydrated, I was like, let's do the thing. And then let's talk about the thing that's in the back of my head that everybody right now is feeling something, right? I don't know how you live anywhere in the globe, anywhere, and not have some kind of like, hey, there's worry about what I'm seeing, right? And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to get into it, but are you prepared for your worst case scenario in your brain? Because that's part of what I was contemplating today. There's a lot of bad stuff people are worrying about. I actually saw one of the news stations cover that France, as an example, guys, France is giving their residents a like doomsday planner checklist thing. It's coming out soon. And I was like, this is part of the reason this show happened, which is why I'm bringing it up. But I mean, are you prepared? Do you know, if you live in Florida, what to do in case of an emergency? Washington, I live next to Mount Baker. It's a volcano. It's pretty active. I'm not seeing lava shoot out of it like in Hawaii, right? But Hawaii is actively seeing a volcano again. We've seen Hawaii face fires in the past few years. I read stories where it made me think, oh my gosh, would I have to swim with the sharks to save myself from the fire? And that was legitimately something somebody had to do to survive. And how prepared are you to jump into the shark infested water to save yourself? Sometimes it feels like that, guys, but it can change depending on how prepared you are, right? I don't want to jump in shark infested water. So the first thing I'm going to do in Hawaii is find a friend with a boat. Right? I don't want to be in the water, but I don't want lava and I don't want fires. And so what's that? What if I pull out my circles, my Venn diagram? How do I stay out of the water? It's a boat. It's a little extra preparedness, right? In case of an emergency in another state, country, place, do I know where the exits are and how to navigate them in a way that I would feel better doing? It's simple math, I think, right? And Jackie, I'm thinking of you right now because you do your trip in with Jackson. Guys, it's about being prepared. You can travel anywhere if you know what you're doing, right? There's always risk, but the more prepared you are, the better. Maybe you're traveling alone, right? I worry about Jackie. Sometimes she's a lady traveling alone to all over the places. But you know what? She knows things. She has check-ins. She has people who know where she is. She has itineraries and she has dates and different things. We know. She knows. She knows how to keep her room safe when she's in a hotel, right? There's little things that make me feel better. And I know she is prepared. What is that for you? What are your resources, your skills? Do you use your network, your check-ins, right? Are you flexible? Because flexibility and creativity create hope for me. And I'm going to give you an example. This is one of those stories where my children will long remember it, right? I want to say, before I dive in, I want to say good morning. I see you guys. I see Nick. I see Crystal. I see Felipe. You're blowing up the comments. I want to stay on topic, so I'm not going to get too distracted, but hi, guys. So you guys, do you know the movie The Christmas Story? Drop it in the comments if you do, okay? Because in my mind, this is like this, but summertime version. My family and I are in a historic, classic, beautiful Jaguar, right? It was a gift from my father-in-law to my husband. It wasn't super fancy, right? Like, don't get me wrong, beautiful car, maintained the integrity of everything it was in its heyday, but it was like a 70s. I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but older, classic Jag. Really comfortable, still felt luxurious to ride in. We took it from Washington State down to Arizona. We were driving with the kids to take them to visit their mother's mom, who was sick. And it was a beautiful ride, right up until we hit about Nowhere, Nevada. It's a real live place. That's the name of the town. We joked that, oh, wow, this is like, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's the last stop before there's nothing until almost Vegas. And we get out of the gas station. We had just, hit the last stop. We're about 5 minutes away from that gas station driving, doing a 70, 75. I'm driving, and all of a sudden, I just feel the car slowing down. Like, I haven't changed anything. My foot's in the same position. The car's just not moving forward all. I mean, it's moving, but there's no go. There's no gusto. I know I'm slowly rolling to a stop, and I don't understand why, because I hear the engine. I haven't moved. It just stopped. So I pull over to the side. I have the kids in the car. We hadn't really thought through air conditioning, guys. Full transparency. Melissa wasn't thinking fully that, hey, this beautiful weather in Washington and Oregon and northern Nevada is going to shift to triple-digit weather soon. And guys, I grew up with no AC in the car, so I wasn't noticing that the windows being down was shifting to warmer. It kind of felt good at first. You guys probably know, right? Like when you go to chilly to warm, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that heater's too hot. Let me kick the heater down inside. Well, same thing was happening outside, and then the car is now slowing down. I'm like, oh no, this is not the moment. We were really trying to beat the heat to get to where we were going, right? they're young children. They're all about 18 months apart. And I think the eldest was in 5th grade. So younger kids sitting in the back. And our car's just slowly pulling to the side of the road. My husband was not in the best mood, being a warm person who doesn't like heat. We moved out of Arizona. A lot of the reason was to get away from the heat. And so here we are in the heat, rolling to a stop, no AC. I'm immediately, my brain's starting to transition into not from mom to Jason Bourne. It's an automatic setting for me. It's a survival skill I've learned through my life, through chaos. That is a lot. For many people, it's been a lot, but I just kind of got lucky with the size of my family. We just had a lot of chaotic circles that overlapped often. So I felt like pinball growing up, truly. So as I'm rolling to a stop, it feels like this, military-esque mindset is pulling forward. And my husband's like mad, frustrated. Christmas Story moment where the nuts and bolts kind of fly off on the side of the road, right? And he's panicking. And I was like, knock it off. And you guys know I gave the eyebrow, right? Long story short, I basically told him, stop. There are so many things in this car I can use to make this happen. And so we had popped the hood. I looked down. I don't know much about cars, except I can tell you by the noise in the car what might be wrong, because my mom always had bad cars and I always knew she needed a new insert here. And so I could tell the sound because we never fixed it, right? But that rattle became something I could understand and assess. So I'm not scared of a vehicle, but I don't know much about it if it's not making a noise. I open it up and I'm like, okay, let me look at what's happening. I love puzzles. And I asked my husband to just press the gas a few times, right? I want to see what's happening when I hit the gas, because that's the thing that seemed to stop working. And I see this lever just kind of flopping around. And when I look at where that thing might have attached to, I see another piece. And I was like, oh, long story short, guys, I didn't know what it was called at the time, but the throttle pin had broken. And we didn't have a throttle pin, right? But once I assessed it, I was really excited because now I know where the problem is. I'm closer to the solution, and my husband is closer to losing his mind because, oh my gosh, where are we going to get a throttle pin? Again, I'm in Jason Bourne mode. My husband isn't. I love my husband. It's not to down talk him, but just different mindset approaches, right? Just giving the example. And my children are in the back watching this. And it got to a point where I just gave him a face that all the kids raised their eyebrows like, uh-oh, he activated angry mom. And he just stopped. He just stopped and he got still. And I was so grateful for it, because it's one thing, guys, to not be prepared. But it's another to take time away from those who feel prepared, who can help, right? There's a difference between wait and see. There's a difference between getting into action. But there's also that moment of, am I going to hinder progress because I am not prepared? And I want to be careful about saying this happens, even my husband, I don't want to say he did hinder progress, but if we would not have been able to stop complaining, being upset, being frustrated, there would have been no action that was of value, in my opinion, right? He might have a different opinion. He doesn't. I'll be honest with you. We've talked about this as a family a few times. But what I did was I sat there as somebody who grew up poor, had to figure it out. My first business deal was telling the neighbor, hey, you have sugar, I have Kool-Aid. Let's make a picture of it and split the results, since we both went in halves, right? And so in my brain, I'm like, how do I make this work? And I'm looking at the car. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. It's safer on the side of the road. And I'm like, there are so many nuts and bolts in this car I don't need. I'm looking at the glove box going, I don't need a glove box. My mom had no glove box on one of her cars when I grew up. It's a necessity? No, it's a luxury, right? And then I started really looking around. I have the radio. I have a bunch of stuff in the trunk. I have all these little doodads in the door. I can pull the door off. I have a bunch of little screws and bolts here, right? And so I started thinking, what do I really need? And so I went to go figure out what size that throttle pin was. And I didn't have much with me, but I took a straw. A simple straw, and I sized it. And then I went back and used that same sizing tool to find a screw that would work. And the screw went in, but it wasn't holding. Anybody who knows, you need something to attach from the back, right? Nuts and bolts, for example, screw and washer. And so it's like, ooh, I don't have a washer. What do I have that can become a washer? And I was looking around. And I didn't really have parts that I wanted to tear apart on a Jag that were going to destroy it, right? But this is survival in the desert with children. So I'm willing to pretty much do what I need to do at this point, right? But as I'm really contemplating, take 2 seconds. Are you going to break this door up and like cut something up to create a washer? Are you sure there's nothing else? And I just look at the keys. And there's one of those little VIP, come shop your grocery card saving value key tags. You know what I'm talking about? I have no words to, but the little scanner cards you do to get your points at your grocery store. It's sitting right there. And I was like, I can cut that into a washer. So I did. And then we heated it up just enough for it to melt to the spot so it didn't move. And you know what happened? It stayed there till I sold it. And when I sold the car, I showed the guy, the mechanic who was buying it because he saw the value in it. I said, here's this throttle pin that broke. This was my fix. We haven't fixed it. He goes, it looks like you fixed it. And he laughed. And in the last I knew, he had not fixed it. And so it was really cute, right? But the story was, I had no tools. I had no knowledge. I didn't know what was wrong with the car. And yet we got to where we were going because I didn't give up hope. I used the tools. I assessed the situation, right? I just sat down and figured out what I'm going to do. I didn't have time to wait and see. Wait and see in the desert with children, no AC, no water. I mean, we had water, but not a lot, not enough, not to sit there long. That wasn't going to work. But what I did know is my mindset had gotten me here. And really, and I'm almost wrapping on this point here, but it comes back to my background screening days a lot that I have to thank for this quote. Because when I was setting up my first background screening company with the owner, right, I was the one helping establish it all, the first hand, so to speak. I put this at the bottom of my email signature. Because when I was working background screens, if you've ever been in HR, if you've ever been in any kind of business situation, the planning and preparation you put in before you act matters, right? That ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. The fire extinguisher is worth 10 of the fire department because of the way you can activate it in a faster manner. Now, if the fire department does, if there's no extinguisher, the fire department is absolutely of value. If the extinguisher doesn't work, it's too big of a job. At least you can help dampen some of that while you're buying time for the others to show up, right? So just small stuff that can make big differences. In your life, are you Jason Bourne, right? Do you pat your pockets to find your keys? Are you always like, oh my gosh, where did I put my wallet? I don't know where X is, right? Like insert here. What are you looking for? Because the cool thing about Jason Bourne, if you've ever seen the movies, James Bond, Navy SEALs, any of those guys that are the coolest ninjas ever in every movie, they are quick, they are quiet, they move almost unseen because they never have to pat their pocket to tell you where they are looking for their keys. They can pull their card out, unlock your door, put the card back in, and you never saw their hand move because they are prepared, they know what they're going to do, and they don't hesitate. These are assessments I've picked up on the couch, right? These are things I've watched going, what makes them cooler than everybody else? And a Navy SEAL is a Navy SEAL because they were really willing to be prepared. And it goes back to like, what are you putting in your body? Because if you're going into basic training, they ask you to get ready. And I've seen my cousins do it. And I've seen my friends from high school do it. And there were some who were like, oh man, I need to get ready, but they didn't do the running they were told. Everybody said, you're supposed to run 5 miles a night before you go in, and they don't. And then all of a sudden day one is just so much worse than it could have been. Right. And that's how many times have I been there? Not necessarily boot camp because I didn't get there, but how many times did I get told, hey, be ready. Hey, be ready. Hey, be ready. And then I was not ready. And if I think about elementary school, that's probably the most. And there's a lot of facets to this, guys. There's a lot of reasons we're not ready. It could be your parents didn't get you up in time. especially if you're in elementary school, you're relying on the grown-up in the room. Is that grown-up has to work and you're relying on yourself and maybe alarms or notes, or I was a latchkey kid, right? Anybody else remember the notes from mom keeping you on task back when? If you don't have those today, it can hurt you, right? Like, what are those things as a grown-up you need to be prepared for? It could be a car breaking down. My husband just needed a new vehicle. We were prepared enough to quickly take action and be able to replace his vehicle. And now he's got a cool little motorcycle and he's happier and we're okay. But that could have really been different had I not done things to prepare for moments like that. Do you have a car kit in your car? Because I'll be honest, the first thing I used my discount on when I started this new role was all of the things I wanted in my car because of that story I told you. All of the things I'm like, I can't not be without this tool. I want a flashlight. I want this. I need extra coolant in the car at all times because I've had a hose blow before, and that's just smart money to keep in the car, right? And even if I'm not prepared for me, do you know how many people I can assist because I am prepared, right? So your reason for being prepared may vary. Teachers have a room full of stuff all the time because it's really important for the kids to have the crayons, right? It is. And if they don't bring them, they still need them. And so as an educator, sometimes you have to prepare for what's not happening. The same with employers. If you're the boss and they don't have it, are you prepared to gap fill? Maybe you love Sally because of her skill sets, but once you hire her, you realize, oh, she's not really strong in this one thing we hoped she had. Do you replace her or do you train her? Are you prepared to keep investing in the investments and time you've made? Are you prepared to let go of things that are not a good investment? Right? Do you have a go bag? It's been a running joke in the house, but it's something that as a teenager who had some homeless bouts, right? Like my mom was not stable. I always had a backpack full of everything I needed at all times. When I went to school, it may have looked like I was absolutely bogged down with every book I could fit, which was true in some ways because I couldn't leave my stuff at home to come back to later. So every school book came with me unless I kept it in my locker, but my locker was my backup backpack. So I would rotate. There would be spare clothes, my laundry, my hygiene stuff, makeup and toothbrush, toothpaste. There were things that happened there. So my go bag looks different. Even today, I carry a backpack. I have enough stuff in there that if you said, hey, you're not allowed to go home for a week, I'd be like, okay, I got this. It's okay. Are you ready for that? What if you got told, don't go home today? You only have what you have. You have to wait a week and then you can go resupply. What are those things you would lack? And I'm not saying this to make you go hoard every piece of toilet paper and, bog down your trunk with everything you could ever imagine you might need in life, right? That's not what I'm saying. But do you have a plan for a friend's house for a week? It could be that simple. Hey, Jackie, I'm coming to your house. I can't go home. Right? Hey, Bob, the cousin, we're visiting in Florida because we can't come home. Do you have those resources? Do you have a friend? Do you have in your pocket your cards so you could just go get a hotel room? Right? Maybe you have camping equipment and you're ready. That's cool. I'm going to the woods. It doesn't matter. I'm ready to live off the land at any time. I don't know. What is it for you? Your worst case scenario is yours to have to decide, right? I can give you some concepts that I've heard of people saying they're worried about, right? I've heard worry and fear a lot in my life. It's out there every day. We see it, we feel it, we live it. But the only way to get back to hope is to be prepared. And so what do you fear most and how do you dampen it? How do you tell yourself, I don't care if the volcano is right there, you're ready to drive. I don't care if the ocean's right there, you're still ready to drive, right? My biggest fear is what happens if the volcano and the tsunami come together? I'm going north. Hopefully Canada's not going to like slow me down at the border if I'm running from a wave, right? But I don't know, guys. Are you prepared? I joke because there's only so much I can do. At some point, I'm prepared enough to have a plan, to have an escape route, right? Like an emergency exit in the building everywhere. That's the plan. Does it always work? No. Will I know now what's going to happen in the future? No. But do I have an idea of what the floor map looks like? Do I understand my emergency exits? Do I know what I do have available if I grab this car versus that car? Do my kids or my husband or my family or my friends know where we meet if it happens? What if we're not all at the same house, same time to jump in the car and go like in the emergency movies, right? Where think through it for you. I don't know if you're even worried about it. You're like, lady, what, you think about these things? I'm a mindset coach. I think about anything my clients tell me to think about. And then I also love horror movies with my family for downtime. So yes, all the time. Zombies too. We have a plan. I've never seen a zombie swim, so I'll be in the boat. Guys, I joke, I laugh, but how many people live in fear of that thing? And when it comes, they really have never even contemplated what could be, right? And maybe that's part of the PTSD that lives inside of me. It's managed and I'm grateful for it, right? It's not a super severe case compared to others who have moments they can't bring it back in. But when I feel it coming, I am prepared to stop it by leaving the situation that makes me feel that way. So, do you have your go bag? Even in a conversation, do you know how to exit stage left if it takes you to a place you don't feel comfortable being? Are you prepared? What's your worst case scenario and do you have a plan? It doesn't mean that like you're a doom prepper, but it's not wise to wait and see, right? If you guys are just joining, this is that moment where you can wait and see. But not every moment you need to sit and assess and just see how it plays out, because waiting doesn't always get you okay, right? I always wonder, like, why aren't you running? I see these horror movies. I'm like, why aren't you running? What are you doing? Why aren't just walk quickly? You're not prepared to stumble and still get away. So just walk quickly. Don't run. Be safe, right? In my brain, I will only speed walk away from Mike Myers or whatever. Everybody runs and falls. I'm just going to speed walk because I know I shouldn't be running. Funny, but not, right? Simple concepts. If I'm triggered by Aunt Becky, maybe I don't go to Aunt Becky's house. If every time I talk to this person, I get angry, I'm not going to engage them anymore, right? Eventually, if I stop feeding it, maybe the fire goes out. So don't always wait and see. Sometimes take action. And some of that is no action at all. But you have to figure it out. What is your disaster plan? What does it look like? If you guys don't have an answer yet, please write down your homework is to plan for worst case scenario. Are you prepared for whatever it is that pops into your brain when I say, are you prepared? Because if you're sitting in a science classroom and the teacher goes, are you prepared? Half of the students just panicked. Nope, I did not read my assignment. Nope, I did not study last night. If you say, are you prepared in a room of civilians who just got drafted to go into battle, there's going to be a whole lot of the same kind of eyes like, no, sir, I didn't do the running. But if I say, hey, Navy SEALs, are you ready? I get like a hoorah or something. No offense, Navy SEALs, tell me what your chant is, if there is. But that's that military answer when they're ready to go, right? That's what I've seen in the movies. That's what I'm ready for. And when somebody says, are you ready? That is the energy you're going to get from me. Or I'm going to say, nope. And I'll tell you why, and I can assess it, explain it, define it, and have a date to fix it. And why? Because this is where I live. It's simple. What am I doing? Why does it matter? Who am I serving? When is it going to take place, right? The earthquake that could happen at any time. I live in the Pacific Northwest. Apparently, this is like ground zero for all of the fun activities. People still find it beautiful and live here every day, and they've lived here for 100 years or so, and it hasn't happened, right? Doesn't mean it won't. But am I going to live in fear? Or am I going to get ready for? Right? Because I'm not fearful if I know, okay, it could happen. There might be some uncertainty, some insecurity, some unease, but I'm not fearful because it doesn't get me anywhere. Preparing for what ifs makes me less fearful, right? I'm still uneasy, but it's a different feeling. Let me know if you're getting it. I feel like the comments have kind of slowed down, and it could just be good quality content here. But is any of this resonating for you? Are you prepared? Do you feel prepared? Let me know. Do you wish you were more prepared? Because I always feel that way too. Even in preparedness, right? Even sitting here knowing I have a go bag and I have a mental strategy to go, and I could live in a hotel the rest of my life and not care. A picture bolted to the wall and 2 lamps I can't move is kind of a blessing, because then I don't feel obligated to get up and improve the process, right? I can't. So think through that stuff for you. What is it? What are you feeling? What are you thinking? I would love to know. If you guys want to join the stage, I will share the link. I would love to hear, like, how do you prepare? I don't want to talk anything chaotic. I don't want to talk worst case scenarios. I don't want to get into the trauma of what we prepare for necessarily. Not today. We can do that privately. We can take it to a group chat even. But I just, like, what is it at work? We're seeing a lot of things at work where, are you prepared for the next role? What if you're going to be promoted? Are you prepared for your team members to shift? What if that one staple of your business moves on? Your star performer. The reality is, as business people, we should want our star performers to keep growing, right? When I hired my assistant manager, the first thing I did was ask her, so what do I know that you don't? How can I help you become me? That is like the last thing some of my former employers, oh, my eye just twitched, like literally would not open all the way because it was rolling itself. That's what one of my last employers would do, is like, you can't outgrow, I don't want to teach you everything because you'll leave. And the first thing I want to do is make myself obsolete in your life. And that seems weird as a coach. It seemed weird as an employer. I do want to maintain contact, and I'm really good friends with people I've worked with, right? Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I want you to grow beyond me, because as a coach, I don't want anybody to get stagnant. Now, emotionally, I'm not always ready to say bye. You know, it's like when Buddy's leaving in the Elf movie and they're like, bye, Buddy. You know, you don't want to say goodbye, but you're really excited to go in to find his dad. It's kind of like that. Are you holding people back from them being prepared? Now, that's the other question I wanted to ask, because I'll be honest, naysayers happen. I remember numerous moments in life, whether it was intentional or not, where people who I were speaking my dreams to out loud tried to deter me, tell me it was too big, too grand. You know, oh, I don't know if you can do that. I wasn't successful, so I don't know if you will be. When I told my mom I had enrolled in school, her first statement, and please, I don't want you to dislike my mom, but in her trauma, in her way of trying to help me help myself, her statement was, you're going to fail out like I did. And I just kind of looked at her like, what did she just say to me? And as I reflect now, really understanding my mom, having conversations about it after the fact, what she meant was, this is too hard for single parents to deal with no support system. And I feel like you're going to have a hard time like I did. That's not what she said, but it is what she meant. And so that's the other statement. Like, are you prepared to have the hard conversations? Are you prepared to support people in spite of your own failures? And if you're not, if you can't keep that kind of mindset to yourself, then please bring support with it, right? Like if my mom would have said, oh, wow, I'm so nervous for you. That's a lot on one plate. I wasn't able to manage juggling those things. Let me help you by babysitting a few days a week, and just made that statement together one time. That is a Assessment with solution, that is a support. That is a, hey, watch out, you're about to hit the pothole. If you just move to the left lane, we can get back in the right in a minute. Oh, you're not comfortable, let me merge for you, and then I'll let you drive from here. Kind of thing, right? And so if you're not prepared to support somebody else's dreams, to help them in that way where you can say, oh, I see risk, let me tell you a solution to help maybe offset the risk I see for you, assess why you want to speak it. Because being prepared isn't just about you, it's about supporting others. And I had a conversation this week where somebody said, I wasn't supportive enough. It was somebody I haven't really worked with, somebody who kind of circles on the internet. And I felt bad because I want to be supportive, but I am not prepared to be used in a way that I'm not comfortable being utilized, right? And I mean, as a resource. It's one thing to help somebody with passion and fun and empathy and willingness. It's another when my gut's like, hey, maybe you don't want to do this. And there's a reason your gut's telling you, hey, hold on, pause, breathe. And I saw it, right? And I wasn't prepared to support that energy. Maybe I don't know how to word it. I want to be mindful. But it wasn't for me, and I knew it. And so I was prepared to say no, thank you. And I tried to be eloquent. I was not going to be used beyond what I feel comfortable being utilized, right? I utilize beyond where I'm comfortable. I don't mind giving away free coffee chat time, but I don't want people demanding other time without my consent. Like if somebody wants my time, they can ask, but not demand, right? Especially if we don't know each other like that. Could you imagine if I just pulled up in front of you, you've only seen some pictures, you've never even really engaged with me thoughtfully, and I demanded your service right now. And if you don't give it, it's because all of these terrible reasons. And that was my experience this week. And at full transparency, I was not necessarily prepared for all of that energy, but my mind is always prepared to assess the situations, and I just handled it, right? And I felt good about how I handled it for me. Are you prepared to leave those uncomfortable situations in a way that makes you feel better or confident or at peace with how you did? Because I think about the Titanic, right? You've seen the movie, right? Everybody saw it. James Cameron, pretty sure. Yeah, you heard the story. It's funny to me that my mom taught me about the Titanic by telling me it sunk on her birthday. And so I know April 15th is when the Titanic went down. And so I think about the Titanic. We went to go watch the movie together. I still remember bouncing up and down during the Irish dancing downstairs. But fast forward to the preparedness, the boat's going down. And you see different people respond different ways. Those who are not prepared to face what's happening, step on others, hurt others to save themselves. They break down, they cry, they freeze, they don't move, right? They are in the wait and see mode. There's nothing they can do. They're just watching it coming. And honestly, guys, I don't know what I would do if I was on a boat in the middle of the ocean and here comes the water, right? I truly am not judging. I'm assessing what I saw on the movie based on what may have really taken place there. I don't know. I wasn't there. But in this movie, we're watching people take young children, not caring where the parents went, to try to get on a boat, right? We've seen the evil storytelling in that way. I also remember vividly watching them play music till the very last moment. And the band, right? They played while it went down. That was a choice to be in their passion and live their life their way till the last moment. And that hit my brain too. It planted a seed deep inside that doesn't matter how bad life is, you get to choose how your story is written. You get to decide how that finale works, right? We've seen the movies where somebody self-sacrifices. I think Bruce Willis in Armageddon. He wrote his own story. Now, again, this is all make believe Hollywood stuff, but how many people have you experienced in life that made you think of moments that made you feel almost like that? Or, you have it inside you to figure out, are you prepared to be Bruce Willis in Armageddon if you needed to be to save others? There's a lot of Navy SEALs and soldiers out there that is their daily life, right? There are people like police, fire, the military, they're always out there for us. They're willing. There's others who, as soon as they see the asteroids coming, they panic and they wait and see. And there's no wrong answer here except the one you're not comfortable with, guys. It's about you being prepared. Maybe you do want to just sit there with your loved one, a Titanic movie. And I'm sorry, I'm ruining the whole movie for you guys if you haven't seen it. But at this point, if you don't know, I can't help you. I watched this in junior high. I'm a grandmother. Watch the movie. But you have to determine how you're moving forward, right? All of it mattered. All of it. And there was a couple who decided, we're old. We're not going to fight it. It is our time. We just want to lay in this bed together and take it. Take it as it comes. That's okay. I'm not judging, but are you okay with that? Is that the way you want it to be? Because I'll be honest, when I think about hope, it gives me hope to watch musicians historically see it in history stamped that they played as long as they could that thing that they were passionate about. That the loved couple, that husband and wife who said, I love you till the last day, meant it. And they lived it until their last breath together, holding each other, right? That's hope, guys. They were prepared to do what they promised, what they said they meant. And those who weren't moving with class and those who weren't moving with empathy for others and kindness, those who weren't prepared, they ended up acting differently, right? I read in history a lot of people drowned because of other people not being prepared to swim. Do you want to be the person who's not prepared and pulls somebody else down with you because you weren't ready? I never want to be that. And I'm not trying to make you feel guilty or anything, because we've all been in need, right? But are you prepared to not make the same mistakes twice? Are you prepared to do it better next time? Are you prepared for what may come? I've been laid off in my life, guys. My mom passed away, my client passed away, the business died. We started other businesses, had to close, right? I've been laid off. I've seen others laid off. I'm seeing layoffs daily. Are you ready for that moment? Are you saving? Are you getting your resume ready? Are you keeping your eyes open? Are you having conversations with your network? Maybe you're watching the news and you're like, I need to be more prepared. And you insert here, Mad Lib style, right? I'm an 80s kid. Are you prepared to take action on the thing that's making you scared? Have you assessed your who, what, where, when, whys? What is the purpose of being fearful? Why are you feeling it? What is making you feel so uncomfortable? How can you fix it? What can we do to stop it, change it, address it? Right? These are things you have to figure out for you, because as much as everybody wants to help each other, I'm in Washington. Where are you? I would love to help you cross the street, but I'm not in your town. Think about what you need. I can help you if we're in a call. But when that Navy SEAL, that one person in the movie, the hero, right? Bruce Willis in Die Hard. I love Bruce. When you watch him, how prepared is he? He did it with no shoes on. Are you prepared to walk through glass to get it done? The glass can be metaphoric. Of course it is in most scenarios, right? Not for Die Hard, but in most scenarios it is. But what is that for you, and how do you prevent it? If every time you talk to a family member, it feels like you're walking on glass, assess why. Is it a topic you bring up every time? Are you talking about politics with your family? And so every time it feels like walking on glass, stop talking about politics. Is it necessary? Yes. Call the leaders in your political office and tell them, right? don't tell the family. You can mention stuff if you want, but if you want to reserve, preserve, maintain that relationship with your family, and every time you guys engage, it feels like glass, assess why it feels like glass and stop that thing, or stop hoping for a relationship, because hoping they change for you in any scenario isn't really the healthiest, right? We are responsible for us. They are responsible for them. Nobody is obligated to change for us. And asking people to do so, unless you're their parents, legal guardian, somebody who has the authority to ask, not really helpful. And even then, I don't know if you guys have kids, but kids don't listen. You can tell a kid, don't be a kid. They're still a kid, right? I could say, hey, shh. But if that kid's got all the energy in the world, shh, doesn't work. You got to go, hey, go outside with that. Go burn it off. Gregory, I just saw your comment. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I have him in my Christmas tree. My husband made me a Die Hard ornament when he's in the crawl tunnel. It starts at a Christmas party. If it didn't start in a Christmas setting, I would agree with you. But there's my hot take. We don't have to argue it. I know Bruce said it wasn't. I think Bruce might have been mistaken, because we watch it for Christmas. It's how I kick off Christmas. It's always on while I'm baking cookies. In my house, it is a Christmas movie. But again, I am prepared to die on that hill and fight that fight, because there's Christmas party in the movie. That's every Hallmark movie has a Christmas party, and that's what makes it a Christmas party. All right, let's Venn diagram that. Come back. No feelings, just facts. Anyway, guys, are you prepared? What is it you want to prepare for? Do you even know, right? Because it's not one thing ever if you're a grown-up human, I don't think, right? There's probably 50 things in my brain right now that I'm preparing for, whether it be an event, a vacation. I have a concert coming this summer. I have my anniversary coming this summer. My birthday's in September. My kid's going to be having a birthday in a few months. Like, all of these things are things I'm preparing for, right? But there's also the news, work, tariffs, ripples through all of that, right? And I've seen the economy go through ups and downs before. From a business assessment standpoint, we are about to be in a very unique situation again, comparable to 2008. The people I'm speaking to feel like that's going to be the impact. And so I don't know if you remember where you were in 2008. I can't say the sky is falling and that's where I'm putting my money, but I also listen to wise people, and I assess, and I just add their circle to my diagram of things I know, things I've heard, things I understand to be out there in the world, and then I sort it for me. But what I do know is it was a tough time, and it was 2008 where I became a solopreneur as a car driver, like a cab driver, guys. I was working for a company called Discount Cab out of Arizona. If you Google it, you'll see this lean, mean green machine that is neon. And I would drive that around at night in Phoenix to make ends meet, because 50% of my hometown closed in a year back in 2008. And I remember what led to it, and I'm watching things unfold in front of me that are leading up to those things. The rules that were put in place to protect us from those kind of moments are being pulled back. I'm not getting an opinion on that. That's just a fact. And so I'm watching that the things that have protected us from, like, a fire in our economy are changing, right? It's like taking the extinguisher out of the kitchen. I see it. It's a risk. Put it back. And they're not. So what I'm hearing is 2008. 2008 was hard. I ended up moving to the state of Nebraska because it had the third lowest unemployment rate in the nation. And that's when I became a certified staffing professional, because they still had manufacturing. What I know about the stuff that's happening in the world is the parts that create manufacturing, the things that we need to fill the plants for manufacturing, are getting more expensive. And when costs happen, the first thing you can really liquefy when you are a manufacturing plant is the human component. And so I'm watching this nervous. This is why I'm nervous. I'm explaining. This is what my brain knows. And so if we're going back that way, I just want you to know my way of preparing for the things I'm seeing is to get my debt zeroed out as quickly as possible. I am not making any purchases that are not 100% necessary. I am assessing how we spend our time out as a family, right? The holidays are really expensive for a lot of people. Even through the first part of the year, there's still a lot of gatherings. Maybe you're paying off some of the debt from the holidays, but you're also inside the whole time, right? So maybe you're doing more Uber Eats. Maybe you're going out to events more often just to get out of the house. You're spending more to go out to eat just for that adventure, the difference, the change. And so I have assessed that too. For my fun, I have been playing in my plants, and there's a lot of them, guys. I got to get rid of some of these. But it's been a healthy way to hang out at home for a few hours, and I'm only spending a few dollars a week to maintain the plants, right? So cut back. Now it's getting to be beautiful in the Pacific Northwest. So I'm going to be going out more. We are very lucky to have a ton of free opportunities out here to enjoy life. And so we'll be doing more parks and beach time and just hanging out outside in the sunshine because we can. You have to figure it out for you locally. Jackie would be happy. I'm certain. I'm not speaking for her, but I'm going to speak for her. She loves helping people figure out what they can do that's cool near them. So do that, right? I'm using her tips. Google parks near you. Check out free stuff to do in your hometown. There's a ton of cool arts or buildings. I love downtown Bellingham for the historical buildings. I told Aaron when he visited, I was like, I want to go downtown and just do a black and white photo shoot because the contrast of all of the different architecture and stone and brick, and it's free. The filter's free, right? You take your friend and go do some impromptu photo shoots. Get creative. Are you prepared to drop everything that's freaking you out, making you stress, overwhelming you, and go do something that you haven't done in a while? Like, when's the last time you went to a park and did a photo shoot with your friends? Right? Think about it. What is that fun thing you did as a kid that you don't do now? I used to love going outside, putting a blanket down and painting my toenails outside in the sunshine. I'm an Arizona kid, right? So getting a suntan in my tank top and my shorts and painting my toes and nails took you about 20, 30 minutes. It was the perfect time to be outside in the sun to get that kiss. Right? When's the last time you went outside and just did some self-care there? Read a book in the sunshine. Sunshine's free and it does a lot of wonderful things, scientifically proven. Go figure it out. I'm not a doctor, right? But what are those free things you're missing? What are those things that you used to love to do you put down? When I was a kid, I loved a bubble bath. I still love a bubble bath. Bubbles. Shocking. Right? When's the last time you took a bubble bath? Listen to your favorite music, playlist, whatever. Exfoliated, right? Just scrubbed from your toes to your head and back down again. Washcloth with your favorite soap. I found Mr. Bubbles powder bubble bath not too long ago, and it made me think of my mom. And I grabbed it and I just took a bubble bath with Mr. Bubbles. And you know what? It was refreshing and relaxing. And there was something beautiful about it. I felt the smell, right? Like, do you guys remember your favorite bath time and your shampoo, the lotion? I don't care what it was. What is that childhood memory where you smell it? I can think of the bubblegum lip gloss from Smackers, right? Somebody tag them if they still are out there doing it because I need it. I can't find it. I see all of these flavors, but not bubblegum. But if I get that bubblegum Smackers lip gloss out and I smell it, immediately I am teleported to fifth grade. I'm in Arizona in Flagstaff or Pine or one of those northern cities that kind of looks like Washington State, right? It's got forest and trees and nature, and there's snow even up there. And I remember being in fifth grade, there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. It's early spring. It was my day to go work in the kitchen and serve breakfast We all had to take a turn, and I was up early, and everybody else was still asleep. And I went outside, I pulled out that chapstick to put it on, and I smelt that bubble gum, and I still can, I could draw it for you. Guys, you can unlock memories by going back to those things you used to love you haven't touched in a while. That scent, the sense of smell is one of the strongest to take you there. You can also taste, right? Grandma's cookie recipe, your mom's meatloaf. It takes you back. I've seen this Italian guy and his wife in all these shorts, and Carlo, every time he tastes his mom's food, you watch his face melt into a memory. He emotionally is driven back to his childhood, and you watch it, and I've seen it and I felt it. And I wonder how often you let yourself travel that way. Like, what is it you haven't done? One of my favorite things to do is eat ice cream with a fork. There's a method to my madness, guys. I am a big fan of chunks in ice cream, right? Like, I like the fudge, I like the pecans, I like whatever. Chunky Monkey was my first favorite ice cream to eat with a fork. And it was one of those harder ice creams you really kind of had to dig to get it out. And so I used the fork because it gave me more leverage. And it's still something I find fun to this day. And it drives my husband crazy to open ice cream and see a fork. And by the way, guys, I eat my ice cream from the container. And once they see that mom's had the fork, they know that's mine. And sometimes I buy ice cream just for me. And that's okay too. But that's because I'm a big kid. And so sometimes I buy 3 tubs of ice cream so everybody gets their own flavor and mom could just eat it with a fork right out of the container, because that is my happy place sometimes. Doesn't mean I'm eating a ton all the time. Doesn't mean I'm not. But it means I let myself play. I still love eating ice cream at Baskin Robbins with the tiny spoon. Stupid. It's so stupid. But it's so much fun. And it makes me remember that I don't have to take everything so seriously. It's a mindset thing, right? I'm prepared when I'm feeling my most grown up, my most stressed out, my most to go do something silly like that. I still do a cartwheel every year. One year I'm not going to be able to, and it's going to hurt so bad. But I do, just to see if I can. When's the last time you pulled out a hula hoop or a jump rope or some crayons? When's the last time you went and played in the fountains or the rain? When's the last time you tried something you never thought you would do? I'll be honest. People look at me and they're like, you don't ride a motorcycle. What are you doing in a motorcycle store? You know what motorcycles are, guys? It's fun and it's passion for the people who like those things as their fun and passion. I like forks and ice cream. They like forks on their motorcycle. Right? And that's okay. When people come in, they're like, oh my gosh, I just got a new bike. I'm like, oh my gosh, show me your new bike. It's the same concept of, oh my gosh, I just opened my business. Great. Tell me about your business. It's one of those things that you have to decide for you, right? But are you prepared to have fun? Oh, I'm going to ask that again. Are you prepared this week to have fun? Do you have it planned? Are you hoping it's coming, or did you plan it? What does it look like? What is fun? Do you even know what fun looks like anymore? Sometimes, guys, we as grown-ups get so used to responding, reacting, responsibilities, right, that we forget to have fun. Now, I do think people on LinkedIn, you guys have a little bit of a lead, right? And if you're on any other platform, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Facebook and YouTube. I do think people on LinkedIn are having more fun than others, because the people I'm engaging with on LinkedIn are always in their dreams, their business, their passions. They're learning, they're absorbing, they're engaging. What is your fun? I have fun doing this. I really do. I'm looking at this, are you prepared? And I started thinking, like, I did a poll, guys. The poll was, what do you want me to talk about? And Branding was on the list. Life and mindset was on the list. LinkedIn features, which is coming. That was one that got a lot of votes. But this is that life and mindset, this preparation, right? And the more you watch life happen around you right now, the more uncertainty can be. I think about all the teachers I'm connected with. I just posted how, there's a lot of uncertainty in the industry of education. What is it going to look like? There's some things changing, right? And I'm not going to say if I agree or not. That's not for me to share here. But there is a ripple for every action. Every stone we throw into water has a ripple. And this one is pushing things back to the shore, to the states. And there's going to be a ripple for some educators because I personally know some states are better prepared than others for this. Now, that doesn't mean we should or should not do it. I'm not going to argue that. That's a different stage, different day. But the teachers are concerned, and rightly so. Are you prepared for the what coulds? What could happen if, right? And so if you're not, that's where I would write a list down. What if the worst case happened tomorrow, right? If my state's not prepared, what's next for me? Because it's no different than the tsunami. It's no different than the tornado or the hurricane. You don't want to be stuck in this moment of wait and see. You can wait and see while you're walking back towards the car, right? You're not running yet, but you're not sitting. Maybe you're just taking a few steps for every time the wave gets closer. You're just moving a little bit. Maybe you're shifting as it shifts. That's okay. That's not wait and see, but are you assessing? Are you waiting? Are you prepared for what's coming? Financially, I know a lot of Americans are not prepared to lose a job, right? How do you fix that for you if that's your truth? Are there things you can cut back? Are you already all the way cut back and you need to figure out improved income? Because that's a thing. That's allowed. But take action, right? There are people who have to get a side hustle to get things going. I personally took a break from the coaching with all of the life changes I had. We talked about at the beginning. I am not in a place where I am sustaining myself 100% on coaching because I'm putting my time into retail also, right? Into business that's not just mine. And I'm loving that. And that's not a problem for me. I wanted the rest period. And during that time, I became a 2-time international best-selling co-author with my friends. 3rd book's coming this year. I'm resting. But I am not prepared for that job to disappear without some action on the back end to offset that, right? Can I shift back 100% to coaching and consulting? Yes, I am prepared to shift. But I'm not 100% prepared to just turn off this light switch without another action to turn on something else somewhere else. That's just fact, right? But do I know how to do it if it comes? Do I know how to make an offer happen tomorrow if I need to create revenue? Yes, right? Do you? What is your backup plan if this thing you're doing now doesn't work? What is it you want to be after this? It doesn't even mean that it's going to all fall apart. What if you grow beyond where you're planted today? Right? What if you've leveled yourself up so much that you're ready to be promoted, or a new business is going to want you for their business because you've done so much where you are? Are you prepared to shift? What would hold you back if somebody called you tomorrow with your dream job and said, okay, we want to hire you? What is the first thing that pops into mind? Is it a heck yes? Is it a I'm not sure? Is it a no? And why? Because there's so many people who are like, hey, I want this. And, I want to get married. And then they get the committed person and they run. I'm not calling anybody out by names, but you know who you are if you're that person, right? You want the relationship, but there's a reason you're not ready. I think of Runaway Bride, right? Anybody see that movie? Julia Roberts. It was one that she came back together with Richard Gere. And I don't want to ruin it if you haven't seen it, but I will say this. The premise of it is he's a reporter, Richard is, who's covering a story about a bride who keeps running out on all of her fiancés at the wedding. She just keeps running. And it's a cute little comedy, romantic comedy about this lady discovering herself through this journey. She wants it. She wants the relationship. She wants the love. She does great. All the guys love her. It's not lack of being accepted by them, but there's something that's just not there yet. She's not prepared to say I do when it comes time, even though she's ready. She's not ready. There's something there. And if you understand that concept, like you're ready, but you're not ready, you want it, but you don't want it right now, maybe next week, right? What is that hesitation? Figure that part out for yourself, because that's where the money is. Whatever, or that's where the success, that's where the action, the gold, right? When you've been hammering away, I think Snow White, Seven Dwarfs, they just whistle out of their work, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's the reward. You can't get it if you're not ready. And so what is it that holds you back from that last piece, locking in? And if you watch a movie, you'll find out for her what it is. And if you haven't, the overview umbrella answer is she needed more self-discovery time. She wasn't prepared because she didn't know her. And so she didn't even know what she wanted because she wasn't clear on herself. The way it unfolds, I'll let you watch. It's kind of cute. You should anyway. But are you prepared? I talk about planning for success, right? If you're in business and we're coaching your business and you're working hard, right? It is grind to be a business owner. I don't care what they tell you. You are working. You're working longer and harder than anybody else in the room most times, especially in the beginning, right? And so if you're grinding, and then you finally get the call. Let's say you're an artist. You want to be in animation and you have been grinding like crazy to get things done. You're meeting people like crazy. You're filling your calendar every day to the brim. Just can't add another thing. And then they call. That big animation company calls and says, hey, listen, we've been watching you. What you're doing is fantastic. We want you to be with us. Can you fly out tomorrow? And you look at your calendar and have to tell them no. Nope. Sorry, I'm too busy for you. Do you have a plan B? Do you have it worked out to where you can pause what's in front of you to say yes to the success you're planning for? It's a thing, right? So I'm a mom. I have a teenager. I have a husband. I have grandchildren. I have a business that I run for myself. I have the show. I have a business I'm running for a corporation, right? And to say yes immediately is not easy. But I do always have PTO in my pocket. So if I have to say yes, I can. I always have a plan. I always communicate with my husband. If this were like, I'm excited about this idea, what do we do when they say yes? Not even if, but when they say yes. When they call and say, hey, fly out, what's the plan? And you know what he said? I think I take you to the airport. I'm prepared. The conversation's been had. I don't have to have an additional level of clearance. And I'm using finger quotes, guys. I don't need permission, but it is a partnership. So having that decision planned out, a plan of action in case. This is what we're working for. What happens if it works? Having a block time in your calendar to say yes to the person. And no, I call it scheduling for the yes. Every day, you should have at least 1 hour available to say yes to the thing. Even if the yes is, yes, Disney, I can take your call, or you offer me to fly out tomorrow. I have an hour in that day where I already know I can work in the airport. Now the flight's bigger. I have to expand my yes, but I can move those additional meetings to other days in the week because I have an hour in other days locked in for a yes to happen. Right? I don't need to move Meryl. I'm going to use your name. I see you. I'm going to move Meryl from Wednesday to Friday because Disney needs me on Wednesday and I have a spot still available on Friday. So I can still say yes to both. Now, am I Have I warned Meryl, hey, listen, I'm waiting for the call. If that happens, I might have to reschedule, because that makes it an easy yes from Meryl if I have to reschedule. And again, I'm just picking on him. He's not the guy that this isn't a live story, right? But are you prepared to tell your friend, your person, your scheduled party, hey, sorry, I have a win. I need to reschedule you. And I still have time this week for you. I'm still prioritizing you. I just have to reprioritize my schedule because something has occurred. Now, not every client's going to be happy to hear, hey, I'm bumping you for another. My clients hear Disney's calling to make me Snow White. They better clap, right? We've talked about it. Transparency. Are you prepared to have the conversations that are hard to get to the things that need to be done later? Lots of stuff to unpack, guys. If you have some questions, you can send them to me in the DMs. You can drop them in the comments. If you want to join the conversation, you can. We can talk about being prepared. But I want to just reiterate, number one, we've been here for an hour and a half. So if you're just joining us, welcome. Where are you coming in from? I would love to know. Are you watching on YouTube? How do you subscribe to my YouTube channel? That would be really cool. I think at 17 people, guys. It's a new channel. I don't stream this way. I've been old school audio. I never did it, right? But I think it is important to keep growing. And so if you're over there on LinkedIn, please go, or on YouTube, go figure it out, right? Go find me. Go follow. The other thing I would say is if your friends are out here, go tell them to join. They can still be part of Team Replay. They can still grab some of this messaging. But for those of you who are new, go to my website, documentthenAct.com, figure out Melissa Houston. That's where a lot of my details are. And I am just a coach, a consultant, somebody who has worked to grow businesses in sales, marketing, telemarketing, social media, you name it, I've grown it. I've also done operations. I've also been a certified staffing professional. I've also been a compliance person in the background screening industry and processed thousands upon thousands of reports nationwide. I've seen so many things in my life, done so many things, worked across so many industries because of that background screening and staffing experience. I'm really unique, right? I am kind of a Swiss Army knife. So the who, what, where, when, why's of Melissa, that's me. How I get it done is all of those skills in a blender into a Venn diagram to ask the really hard hitting questions that make you think about where you want to go next. That's who I am. Okay. I'm an Arizona girl who moved to the Midwest when the economy tanked, did really well there and decided, hey, I'm going to go do it myself in Washington. Went and did it great. Did it for almost just over 8 years with a client, about 8 years. And he passed away. And then I've transitioned since. I've grown this platform, this coffee chat show. I've met amazing humans. I'm starting the Emotional Women, right? With Jackie Hallberg. We came together. We wanted to have this conversation. We have an event coming. Go check it out. It's featured on my profile page. We're going to talk about taking the EW, out of emotional women, right? I have been called emotional before. I don't know if you have, but I have seen emotion in humans my whole life. From a win at a sports game and everybody cheering, that's an emotion, to the tears, the anger, the frustration, the get it, whatever, right? And we talk about why it matters and the causation there and how to deal with it. We're going to tackle communication next. So guys, go register for the show. I put it up. I did. It's already there. It's going to happen on the 30th. So check it out. And if you're not following the page, please do. So that's me in a nutshell, right? Cultivator dreams, motivator of human capital, helping people use elementary education concepts to sort out who they want to be and how we get it done. I help businesses grow. I help you kind of hold yourself accountable. The eyebrow, you can ask around. But that's me. And if we're not friends, we should be. Go follow me. Go connect. LinkedIn's the place I love to play. Now, with that said, I want to ask you again, are you prepared? Can you define it? What does prepared mean for you? Because you can be prepared in a pair of shoes, you got a bottle of water and you can go. You could be prepared for the worst mentally, but maybe not physically. You can be prepared physically, but not mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Preparedness is something you have to define. Maybe it's what's in your bag. Maybe it's what's in your mind. Maybe it's the skills you have that aren't seen. Maybe it's the skills they see. Maybe it's the muscles you've had, like The Rock. He's got a whole toolbox that I don't mind, if I'm being honest. I've watched him his whole career and I'm not mad at it. He is ready to take energy in a room and elevate it at any time. He has that skill, right? The microphone skill set, the eyebrow, the people's eyebrow. And I bring him up because maybe my eyebrow and his eyebrow, there's some kindred spiritness going. Tag him. I want to be friends. But who do you see in front of you that has tools you wish you could harness? Because honestly, my eyebrow goes up, but I can't harness it like The Rock can. Dwayne Johnson can raise it at will. Mine goes up when you say something silly. It's frustrating. He has that skill set. I don't. But think about it, right? Like, who is it in front of you you wish you could emulate? What is that thing they have that you don't, that you wish you did? Do you assess or take action? How quickly does it matter, right? Because sometimes we can think about who we want to be when we grow up, and we have our whole life, right? Our whole life in front of us. We can dream big. And while there is life, there's hope. I saw Stephen Hawking. I saw the movie about him, and I heard it there. I believe he was quoting somebody prior to that. I don't know. I think it was Sirius. I could be wrong. But that's where I saw it first. So I quoted him, quoting somebody. While there is life, there's hope. But we don't have a time frame, right? So we can only assess for so long before we know we're running a clock out. A clock we don't get to watch click, tick. We don't know the deadline. We just know it's moving. That can bring some chaos to your mindset if you're like, I'm on a deadline and I don't know what it is. Right? So assess, dream, but be careful on how long you wait and see. You have to take action. You have to write your story. You have to pick up the pen. You have to be the one to tell it your way, right? If you don't, life will still write the story. Every time you waited, the story was written anyway. The line said you were waiting. Your story, your part was, and Melissa sat down and watched the tsunami come in. She was waiting to see how far or how much of her body would be covered by the wave. That could be the story here, right? There could also be Bob just off the edge of the screen about to come and pick me up and run me off. And that could be the story too. I could stand up at any minute and run away. I can change it. But if you feel the tsunami coming in on you, whatever that looks like, right? Put your own title there. What is that in your life? And are you waiting? Or are you acting? Are you moving away from the thing that you're scared of? Are you moving into it? Firefighters move into the battle. That is their job. They move into the scary thing and they push back on it with their tools. Doing so with a wave, a little different, right? Doesn't make sense to me. A dolphin sees a playtime, right? That it's not affected. They love to play in waves. You see them just at the top of the wave usually playing. Humans, not so much, right? Being a tiny little boat in this wave, not my favorite. Riding the waves when they're smaller, fun. So how long do you wait to see how big the wave's going to get before you decide, hey, maybe I should get to safety. Maybe I should move away. Maybe I should move to a space where I feel more comfortable. And what does it look like for you? Only you can assess. And that's why, for me, when people say, well, what kind of coaching do you do? I do it all. And they say that's not possible, but it is. Because the reality is what I do is I help you move forward. That is my function. Forward momentum, action, right? But I never want to apply action without assessment. I would never cut off your leg without assessing first, right? And I wouldn't cut off your leg anyway. I'm not qualified to do that unless we're in the doomsday scenario. There's no need. But I also wouldn't tell you how to do something in your business without assessing what that looks like first. Why are you at this point? What brought you here? When somebody's like, hey, sales are down, I don't immediately go, hey, spend more money on marketing. Because marketing might not be the issue if the product's flawed and everybody's got word out that the product's flawed. Marketing isn't going to fix the flaw, right? So, as a coach, the first thing I do is come in and talk. I started as a consultant growing businesses. I was not a coach in 2015. I was coaching business leaders, but I was doing it for growth. What happened is I realized when I looked around a room like this, none of you need to be told how to be successful necessarily, right? Like any business leader who has gotten there, made it happen, created that has been successful already. They successfully completed tasks to get to that point. So that's not usually where it stops. What usually makes it stop is the accountability, life, not having time management down, right? And so then coaching came in because it wasn't the skill of not being able to grow the business. It was the skill sets of not being able to take accountability for oneself to keep the business growing, right? To delegate. Sometimes it wasn't even not wanting to act, it was just not having the time to act. And so by default, I come in and assess and go, you just need an assistant. You need somebody to answer the phone so you can do the back end work of what happens once the phone rings, right? But as I'm talking to the humans coaching their business, I'm realizing I'm mindset coaching them. And that's how I went from consultant to coach, and then from business consultant to more mindset coaching than anything. Because if you're coaching with me for any reason, it usually moves you forward. I'm drawn to people who have a plan for business, a nonprofit, a give back, some kind of speaking. There is some kind of engagement that they're trying to act on, whatever that is. It could be a social media profile growth, right? But they're looking to network and expand. They're expanding their brand, even if it's just them being them online. So for me, that's the facet, is they have to want to grow something because I like to grow things. But then I work with them to figure out what's holding them back from growing. Sometimes it's they're not prepared mentally for the success. They're not prepared to get the big contract, right? There are people out there who have landed contracts and then they couldn't fulfill the order because it was bigger than they ever meant for it to be. They got too successful too fast and they weren't prepared with a plan in case we get an order we can't handle ourselves. They didn't have a backup manufacturing company to call and say, hey, we can only do 500 units a day. We need to do 1,000 to make this happen. Can you take part of this contract? I've seen staffing firms work together for organizations in a town. I actually used to screen for a couple of staffing firms who were working for the same client and working together in unison because they had to have a plan. Not one person, not one business in that town could successfully sustain the need for that organization. They had to work as a unit together. That's a plan. Are you prepared to share the wealth with your competitor if it means you get to maintain your wealth? And I'm going to pause on that, guys, because on LinkedIn, we hear a lot of competition. There's a lot of opportunity for collaboration. But are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to sit next to the person who offers something you offer and dive in if it means you get the success? Or is it only for you and you will limit success for yourself to prevent others from having it? I'm just asking because I've seen things like this happen, right? People don't want to support others. People don't like the other person. People don't engage well. And there's a ripple. But you have to really think about what you're trying to accomplish. Go back to your why, right? The who, what, where, when, whys of what makes you do what you're doing. How does that overlap with your actions and your results and how you're moving? Because it's easy to get lost in the sauce, guys. If you're not being aware, if you're not staying on top of yourself and constantly asking yourself the hard questions or having somebody who holds you accountable in that way. It could be a partner, a friend, a coach, a boss. I don't care. Find a partner, right? If you don't have somebody calling you out, then you're surrounded by people who are allowing you to fail and they're letting you. I love friends who call and say, what's wrong with you? You didn't sound right. I love friends who say, hey, I wouldn't really say it that way. Did you mean to say it that way? Because this is what I heard. I love friends who say, hey, your mic sounds bad. Why? Because I'm willing to change. I'm willing to improve. I want feedback. I don't want people who will let me look silly because they're nervous to tell the truth. And so I'm prepared to receive data. And that's not easy for everybody to be prepared to do. Now, I'm not always prepared in that moment, right? Like if my mind's full of 37,000 things and you throw one more thing on top and I'm not ready to process it, that's not fair. So again, I come back to, am I prepared to have the conversation that you want to have? Is it the right time, place, space, right? These are all things you have to figure out. Telling your husband in the middle of a grocery store, hey, I'm unhappy with the way you're doing X in our life, probably not the time, right? Having the argument at the checkout aisle, not the time. At the dinner in front of the whole family, not the time, right? But are you prepared to have it when it is the right time? Are you prepared to wait to have that conversation? How do you pause? And if you can't pause, are you prepared to step outside, make a space, do the thing? Are you prepared? That really dives into a lot of the communication stuff, that some of the tips that Jackie and I will cover in my brain, right? Like my side of what I'm thinking for communication is how to do some of that, how to prepare. And so please go sign up to be part of that show. It's out there on my LinkedIn. But ask yourself these things, guys, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. What do you need to be prepared? I feel like a good analogy of not being prepared, being at the place where it happens, right? Let's go back to elementary school. Do you guys remember lunch? Some of us are prepared with our parents sending a thermos and a lunchbox, and they match, and they have the coolest character ever, and their parent cut their sandwich in a star shape, and all of their fruit is fun and cute with smiley faces carved into it. Super prepared mom. Then there's others who had lunch prepaid, right? Parents put money on the account and they allowed you to be prepared by allowing the payment to happen and the school to provide the lunch. Still prepared, super prepared. Different. Are you prepared to not measure yourself against the one whose mom cut it in a star? Because that's the other thing I see a lot of is, are we prepared to let people be successful around us without it interfering with our mind, our spirit, our emotions, our mental health? Let's use like Oprah. If Oprah sees, back in the day, Dr. Phil get a contract she didn't get, is she upset? Is she prepared to celebrate his win? Is she going to let it deter her and put her stuff down? She's never picking up another microphone for an interview ever. Because I'm certain at some point in Oprah's life, there was a gentleman who looked like Phil Donahue who got their contract instead of her, right? And she could have given up. She was actually told, you're not meant for television. And are you prepared to take their insight, process it, assess it, and do with what you need to, right? Because Oprah said, I hear you, but no thank you, and put it in the trash. She didn't listen. Are you prepared to let go of bad feedback if it doesn't apply? Once you've assessed it, right? Assessing it. If the doctor says, hey, you should lose weight, maybe cut back on the sweets, you can be mad at them. You can maybe not be prepared to hear you have to lose a few pounds, or you knew. That's why you're at the doctor, right? You knew when you got on the scale, dang it, they're going to tell me. You knew they were going to tell you to cut back sweets because you've said it to yourself 10 times. Are you prepared for what you already knew to be said out loud? And if you're not, ask yourself why it would make you uncomfortable to hear your doctor tell you what you knew. It's just an example, right? It's one that I've lived. When I was at my worst part of my disability, which I have, guys, I don't know if you know, but I have severe arthritis in my hips. I have trochanteric bursitis. I have a pinched nerve between L5S1. It hurts to walk some days. My knees crack and creak because my hips aren't right. So they do a lot of extra work they shouldn't. Same with my feet. Doesn't slow me down, but it does, right? And when I went to the doctor to get help, the first thing they did was handed me a handicap placard and said, here, you don't have to walk far anymore. You don't. 'Cause I And I was prepared to use it for a while. And then I realized the more I used it, the more I losed it, right? Lost it. Um, it was something that I wasn't prepared for yet. I wasn't prepared to be in that position for the rest of my life. And so I reassessed what we were doing. And I figured out the doctors had been wrong. Not that I wasn't hurt, not that I wasn't likely. I mean, I was absolutely qualified to use that handicap placard, but they were wrong in the way they were treating me. What I found out when we reassessed, because I didn't feel comfortable, is that every doctor I was seeing was giving me steroids. And I was listening to my doctors. They all looked at the same screen in the same medical building. They all had the same access to my charts. And every single doctor was giving me steroids. I had 12 shots in a year, and I think you're supposed to have 4. But every doctor gave me the same treatment. None of them listening, none of them reviewing and assessing thoroughly before doing so. And so I had to be on top of that. And I was prepared to reassess myself and to tell the doctor, I don't think something's wrong, because I started gaining all of my weight that I had lost. I had once been 300 pounds. I got down to 211 pounds for my wedding. I looked great. I've never been a thin girl. Think Marilyn with a few extra wiggly spots. Okay. But I'm curvy always, and I'm happy there. And I was so proud of my body on my wedding day, but my pain was still up. Even after the weight loss that they said was the reason for the pain, I was still hurting. Actually more so, and I don't understand how the pressure was actually relieving some of it at first. And then they started giving me the steroid shots that were supposed to help. And that caused all of the weight to start to return. And I have lost the weight since. I have gone medicine free from doctors since, because beyond like an ibuprofen, I just don't trust doctors with my body the same way. I am prepared to be my own doctor and go back to them when I can't do it myself. But guys, I stand on my feet for 12 hours a day. I used to have a placard that let me sit right in front of the grocery store to walk in to shop. And then there were times where I had to get a cart at 20 something years old. I don't do that now, and I'm older. It's not magic, and I'm not saying that just because you're avoiding your doctor, you're going to get healed. Please know this is not medical advice. This is my journey, my story, my way. Do you your way and listen to your doctors, but assess what your doctors are saying often. My grandma used to tell me all the time, they are practicing medicine, which means they haven't figured it out because they're still practicing. And no offense to doctors, but it's all scientifically based assessment all the time. What Tylenol does for one, it doesn't do for another. What amoxicillin would do for me would kill my husband. There's a difference. And so you have to be in charge. Are you prepared to speak up for yourself when it doesn't feel right? No matter what the person on the other side thinks they have that you don't, right? Medical degree, for example. Sometimes they get it wrong because they're not listening. You have to be prepared to advocate for yourself on all levels. Now, that's not always easy. You don't always know what to do, what to ask. And so preparation is key. First, use ChatGPT, use Google, use all of the skills that are out there. Google has already incorporated AI, so you don't even have to go to ChatGPT for AI to be part of the response system, right? But you can go and say, what are good questions to ask my doctor if I have arthritis? What are some standard treatments for arthritis? What is a good healthy diet for arthritis? Right? Some simple stuff. Doesn't mean it's factual, but you can take those results, write it down, take it to your doctor and go, would any of this work for me? How much of this are we doing? How much of this have we not done? Do you recommend any of these other treatments? I've been reading. I don't know how many of you talk about your diet with your doctor, but I am shocked to find out how much it affects my body, right? I just talked about it. I had pizza and cheese and higher fat content stuff on Monday. It wasn't really healthy stuff. I didn't have any fresh fruits or vegetables. I didn't have a lot of good beverages. I wasn't even hydrating well on Monday. Fast forward to Wednesday and Thursday, I'm hydrating like crazy. I'm focusing on Gatorade, electrolytes, water, alternating. I do nothing but salad, and it was gorgeous and beautiful and yummy. And I felt amazing on Friday. The doctors don't talk to me about my diet a lot. I started to pay attention to food more. When I use dairy, my arthritis hurts. I realized once I did some Googling that dairy does make inflammation increase. Well, dang. Wouldn't it have been nice to say, hey, cut out the dairy, which was a huge part of my diet back when? Not going to lie to you. I love quesadillas. That's what I ate all the time. We did lasagna and taco nights, pasta. I put cheese on the pasta too, right? Like it was a different kind of cheese, but your fettuccine Alfredo has cheese in it. And so all of the things I was making had a cheese base or milk base or butter base. It adds to inflammation. Am I still eating dairy? Yes. But am I painfully aware when I do? Absolutely. Breads. If I eat bread, guys, I have a response. It's not necessarily as bad as others. My daughter, if she eats a high level gluten product, her cheeks turn a little bit flush and pink. She has a response. It made me aware of my responses. When I eat breads in high quantities, my stomach expands. It bloats. I get bloated, and I go up a pant size just from bread. It doesn't hurt. It's just bigger belly for no reason. And it's every time. It's an assessment. Am I prepared to let my pant size go up for bread? Yes. I need you to understand. I don't care. I'll put on the sweats and eat my bread. But long term, there is probably something there I need to address, right? With a doctor, talk to, and it's probably not good for me to keep pushing. There are people who felt a little bit not comfortable after they ate a peanut. They kept pushing, and then eventually they became full-blown, unable to eat it. My sister, my older sister, I sent her a bag of almonds for Christmas, chocolate-covered ones, maybe her birthday. She ate them, and then she had an allergic reaction. She couldn't eat them anymore. So I switched up the nuts the next year. I think it was walnuts. Same thing. Maybe it was even walnuts and then almonds. But she can't eat nuts, and it's my fault, maybe. Or just something that lived inside her got activated at some point in her life because of mass, exposure. And again, this isn't medical advice, but are you prepared to assess the differences in your body? Even if you're doing something you've always done and now it feels new, it feels different, it's changed, it doesn't feel comfortable. It could be a relationship, it can be a job, it could be a church, it could be your political party, it could be your diet, it could be the home, the town, the city, the mindset. I don't care. It could be the feeling of you've been carrying around all day. If it doesn't feel good, are you prepared to make it shift? Are you prepared if somebody else determines it's time to shift? If you don't have a yes ready, assess your whys. It's not a yes, right? Coming back to what we're doing. Define prepared. Define those worst case scenarios. What is it in the depths of your soul that is your worst case scenario? It's not easy to dive into the who, what, where, when, whys, guys. I warned you in the beginning. It seems so simple. It's tricky. What am I scared to lose? Where would I be if I lost it? Why do they matter? Why does it matter, right? Who would I turn to? Who is that person for me? However you want to use these who, what, where, when, whys, you can add the question your way. But when you assess these things, you really figure it out. I would be upset if I lost my husband, right? He's my partner. We do these things. Why would I be upset? I could give you a million reasons. One of them I told him recently is I don't want to have to teach somebody else my coffee order. And he jokingly said the same. After 17 years of marriage, you know how many favorites of mine he has automatically tuned into his DNA at this point, right? Like he already knows which candy bar to grab. I don't have to tell him. He knows how I like my coffee. He knows what tea I prefer. If he has to pick between a burger or a taco, or maybe give me one of each, he knows which version I would like of each type, right? Those little things matter. But that's not what's valuable about him. But those are things I would miss, right? Those are part of the list. And we joked back and forth. We were just kind of playing tennis with these ideas. It's like, oh, I would hate to have somebody have to pick up laundry soap. Because we went through years of trying to figure out which one was best for our family. What are those little things you've assessed in your life you don't want to lose? There are some things like faith that can be put down when you get too busy, family, when the business gets too big, right? Sometimes the business gets put away because the family stuff gets too big. You have to assess all the time. You can have somebody come in and run your business. You can't have somebody come in and run your family. Or maybe you can. What does it look like for you? Is it a nanny? Is it a maid? Is it a housekeeper? Is it an account executive that just handles all the bills and does everything for you so you can just figure out more family time somewhere else, right? Like you got to assess how, why, what you can afford, what is the ROI. Something I will say is I'm here to help, and that looks different for everybody. I want to keep doing this free show, and that's where you guys can show up all the time for free, get that week's lesson. You can even nominate ideas, like suggest ideas or guests you want to see on the show, topics you want me to talk about. This is your free time to have coaching and consulting that you have to share, right? That's how it's done here, is we share it publicly. But you can do that. If you don't want to do that, I'm going to tell you, I do have an offer for you, right? I can do private coaching. Right now, my biggest package, the best value is this one, the social selling package. If you're on LinkedIn and want to do something here, whether it's build your brand, selling yourself to that new organization you want to work for, growing your network, figuring it out, like just building here, this is the offer. But I also have coaching where it's just me and you doing your thing. And the first hour is $250. That's the conversation. The social selling package kind of gives you a little bit more value. Like I said, it's a special offer right now. But we can sit down for an hour and talk. You can go to Document Then Act and figure out what my pricing is. I even have an annual package if you're ready to do a whole year overhaul. But if not, this is your spot, guys. This spot, right? If you're handling some hard stuff, this is another spot. I have the Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with Felipe we do every other Sunday. We are skipping tomorrow. We're taking a break. I'm going to be at my day job. But Jackie and I will be live on the 30th. It's up on the Emotional Women page. Go register. Go be part of that, right? Next week, I'll be back with my show again. I'm always here on LinkedIn. I'm putting the post out. But if you want one-on-one time, you gotta get going. You got to go to my DMs and say, hey, I want to coach with you. Hey, I would like to see if you're my coach. We can do a quick session, 15 minutes or so, talk about it, right? That's how I started Coffee Chats, was those 15-minute coffee chat moments. If you're just thankful for the show, there's a QR code up there. You can buy me a cup of coffee. That's cool too. Guys, I'm here to serve you on Saturday. I'm here to serve you every other week on Sunday with Felipe. Jackie and I are here to serve you with Emotional Women. We really want to focus on business in that segment, like working with organizations or groups of humans who want to tackle some of that stuff, right? And there's way more to come on that, but go follow those pages. Go follow my business page. Go follow the YouTube channel. If you would. I'm not going to say you have to, but this is a weekly thing here. I try to bring guests up too. That's coming because I have been practicing StreamYard and I love it. I feel like today went exactly the way I wanted it to. I do want to have my co-hosts come up, share 30 minutes about themselves and what they do, the who, what, where, and whys of what make them them. And then we get to engage for an hour and a half with you coming on stage and having a conversation. But this has been a beautiful way to launch the new show for me. Really getting to know StreamYard, getting to understand the bells and whistles. I did hear that they have this contract thing. Trevor Van Worden had signed up with them for his show, The Hotness Unleashers. Go check it out. But after the year, they made him sign a 2-year automatic, and then there was a 5-year, and it's like really hard to get out of. And so I'm not sure if I'm in for 5 years. We might move to Restream. But for right now, guys, no matter what I'm on, if you want to find me, you better go over to YouTube because that's where I think we're going to live forever, right? That's where all the playback of the recordings are going to be and updated and streamed to. There's also a playlist for the show that I do with Felipe. And I'm certain that Emotional Woman will have a YouTube channel before long. But guys, get prepared, right? Sometimes you just got to get a list. Get prepared with an action list to be more prepared, right? Maybe you don't have a go bag yet. Maybe your list is create a go bag. And then you have to write a list for what would be in a go bag. Where are you going to? Do you have a plan? What's the point of a go bag if you're not going anywhere? Who is your network? Do you have an emergency contact? If you couldn't live your life today, what would that look like tomorrow? Do you have this figured out? Who are you taking with you? Where do you guys meet if it hits the fan? Who's responsible for what? These are the things you got to figure out. And you know what? If you take these same questions and bring it into a business, it works too. Who's responsible if the upset customer comes in? Who's responsible if the shipment doesn't arrive on time? Who's responsible if it's misentered, misordered, misdelivered? What are the questions for your business and how do you assess it as you go? You figure that out and you're going to be a little less stressed, right? You're going to be prepared like Jason Bourne, like the Navy SEAL. You won't be scared of what happens any day because you're ready every day. If you're not ready, let's reach out, right? Get this session booked with your new coach, me. Go to documentandact.com, learn more about me. But guys, I'm going to play you out. I know there's a million shows going on today. I'm pretty sure there's a Social Saturday event coming in about an hour. Felipe should be there. Go find him. He's always posting it. I know some of my other friends like Martha are there too. Kind of a cool show. Like I said, register to watch The Emotional Women. I posted it on my page. It's in the featured section. You can find it there. And then Felipe and I will be covering branding. It's how do you present yourself? And we're going to talk about it in a new way. We're going to cover some things, but really it's all about presentation, right? It's all about being ready for what's coming. And life keeps telling you to be ready. That's just life. Doesn't matter where you've lived, in what time, space, energy, country. Life has always said, get ready, I'm coming. So just do that with us. Be prepared. Ask your who, what, where, when, whys. And, jam out to the song. Go get some stuff done. If you need me, let me know. But otherwise, take care, guys, and I'll see you next week.
Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open doors. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Coffee chat